Welcome back, YouTube, and today we are switching gears on what we are focusing on. Still going to be an exciting video, I believe, for you guys, but we are switching from more mechanical to more entertainment and more luxury things going into the Mustang. So without further ado, I'll just show you. This is a new enclosure for two 12-inch subwoofers from Zen Enclosures. This is a very thick box that'll go actually between the rear seat delete panel and, or it'll be this amps rear seat delete panel. So this will be coming out to the facing outward into the trunk with two 12s. We've actually got new Alpine subwoofers coming for this. The reason is there's a very long technical amount of math that goes into subs and how many ohms and resistance you want going through it. Needless to say, just to make sure we're doing it correctly, we are going to get Alpine amps to go with the, Alpine subwoofers to go with the Alpine amp to make sure that we're getting the correct math, essentially. Dad can explain that much better to you later, but that's what I understand for right now. So why we're switching gears, and I say that, is because we did have a custom mounted box already. And it's over here now. We didn't show taking it out, but this is the one that was in the Mustang originally. And this is 112 in a custom enclosed box that we got a little earlier, quite a few years ago. That went perfectly right here. I might have seen it in another video. This one is going to accommodate those two subwoofers much better. The other option was to put, two matching boxes here, but we figured that would be better. We can also mount the two amps, and this is what we've got set up here. Is we've done a lot of reading on whether you can mount amps to, or you should mount amps to directly to your subwoofer box or not. The consensus that we understand is if the box is sturdy, not flimsy, made of strong material, and don't think will shake ridiculously much, because I do believe the shaking is what people are concerned about. With this box being that sturdy, and you're gonna get vibration if the amps are close to the subwoofer in general, we believe that it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be cleaner if we just mount them directly to the subwoofer. They'll be hidden behind the rear seat delete panel, which we'll show you. We're actually planning today to finish putting in, or not finish putting in, but at least test fit this box, test fit the rear seat delete. Everything's out of the car mostly right now. You saw a little bit of that deletion in our last video. If you haven't seen that, go check it out, where we actually did these rear wheel woods right there. So if you haven't seen that video, please go check it out. It would help us so much. So without further ado, let's get these subwoofers in, or at least get the box in, get the rear seat delete in, and let's see how everything fits, and we'll go from there to see what we want to do. This is Gears Them Beers. I'm Josh, and it's gonna be sick. Okay, so with the first steps to doing what we need to with this new box, there is a stock tray for Mach 1. Mach 1 being the system that came stock in these cars. It's this plastic tray. It goes all the way across and pretty much all the way back. It's hard to show you, but this whole tray needs to come out to fit that box. And what that is it has the stock amps for the Mach 1 system. We are not using them. We've had two amps for a while. The whole audio system is aftermarket in this car. So this tray is heavy, and it really serves us no purpose other than it was stock and we kept it in. So our first step is going to be removing that. It should have the, like I said, the stock amps, and I was concerned at first because I thought these speakers, I thought we'd lose these speakers if we removed that tray. It turns out that's not true. These are on a separate tray. That tray is just for the amps for the Mach 1 system. Just got a little confused, and I wanted to clarify we're not losing those rear speakers if we're removing that tray. But without further ado, let's get started removing that, and I'll show you how to do it. So this is the most effective way I found to getting to this. There's some recessed nuts up in here. There's 4 or 5, it looks like 6 maybe. 6 of them. I'm just gonna take those out and hopefully it comes right out. We did watch a short how to do this, and they did take out the top tray where the speakers are sitting, as well as the side panels. We don't really feel like doing that, so we're not gonna do that. And we're gonna try to do this. We'll let you know if that shortcut bites us in the ass or not. And about as quick as I say that the shortcut might bite us in the butt, it doesn't work. You're gonna have to take out everything. You're gonna need to take out, starting from here up, is take these side panels out and that top tray with the speakers. We for some reason thought that was disconnected. It looked disconnected, but those top speakers are on that plastic tray. They are a part of this, which really is going to make some we're gonna have to make some modifications to keep those rear speakers, because we do want to keep them. But whoops, I misspoke before we even tried to break it down. So we're gonna get back to breaking down, take those side panels out, take everything we need to, essentially the tray with the speakers. We're gonna take those top speakers actually all the way out now, and we're gonna try to find a solution for that. So stay tuned. First things first, for taking everything out on the side, that's over there doing the same thing. You're gonna need to take this runner out. It's right here. It's just plastic pieces. Pull up. Be careful not to break anything plastic on it. Next, you're gonna have two small plastic push-in pins holding this piece of plastic in. Right here. Make sure to take those out. And then three pins back there. I can't really get in. And then you're gonna have a long screw right where that hanger. You have to pop that plastic piece out, get that out, and then once this piece comes out, this giant plastic piece should slide forward. We should just be able to pull it out right through the door. That's the easy way, or how it should be done. If anything is more than that, then I'll let you know.
All right, typical Ford fashion, they want to make things a little bit difficult. In order to get the side panel off, right, for the rear seat area, you have to take this sail panel off. That's what Josh was just telling you on that side. I've already got this one removed. They decided to hide a bunch of fasteners, right? The clothes hanger is not that difficult to figure out, but there are a couple of hidden fasteners that have the two collared push pin, for lack of a better term. So once you get the seat belt mount out, right, which was just a it was a T50. Once you get the seat belt mount out, and the hanger for the clothes hanger, what you do is you push down, and when you push down, they pop out of these two hangers right here. There's also another one that broke off for me, that was hidden, but this one you would have to push it actually aft in order to clear it. So once that is done, you can remove this panel. There's one push pin that's hidden behind that sail panel, and this is the entire reason that the upper panel had to come off, just to get to this. Thank you, Ford, for your infinite wisdom. All right, sail panels are out, side panels are out, Josh is in, and now we're going to take off the panel on the back. There are a couple of push pins on either side. This should cooperate nicely with us at this point, I hope. And we'll hand it to Josh and put it in the garage. All right, with this out, we have access to the last couple bolt or nuts that we need that we're holding it up. Looks like I've got one here, one on the other side. That should be all that is holding the tray up. Once we get it out, there will be a handful of wires that we'll need to disconnect from that tray.
All right, the tray is out. We are unsure exactly how, I don't want to say that, we were, but how this was held up was a little odd. You get the 6 bolts from underneath and it's still held up. That's what we were held up on. The bolt that was holding us up was actually on this right speaker right here. There's a bolt on the top side once you take that tray out, and that's what was holding us up. Honestly, please let us know if you guys too or something happened. I mean, I figured that's the last bolt keeping it up. So if you're having trouble and it's being held up from the front side, that's your problem, 110%. So just a FYI, so you guys don't get stuck on the same thing we did. All right. Alright, this is what the tray looks like completely out of the car. We are unsure whether we did these rear speakers or not. We don't necessarily remember taking this tray out in the past, but it did have aftermarket speakers in it, so either we did it or the previous owner did. We have no idea. The tweeters were gone, and we don't remember doing that either, so we're thinking it was the previous owner, which is fine. This is going to be gone anyway, and I don't think we're really going to be adding tweeters back there. I don't really see the necessity to, and since we're deleting this, it's just going to be easier to mount the speakers back up to these holes, which, now that I'm looking at it, really shouldn't be that difficult to just kind of screw some new holes there, run some wires, and go from there. So I'm kind of optimistic about remounting those speakers. I was a little worried about what we were going to get after we moved that tray. So I wanted to give a quick update on what we're talking about with remounting the speakers to the back. Down in the comments, please let us know if we are geniuses or idiots, either one. So we actually just self-tapped it where they were, where the screw holes were. I mean, I don't see a problem with how it is. It's gonna work. We did have to cut the cables out, or cut the cables from this tray here. I showed you a little bit. This is actually where the cables were. Just cut it right there. We weren't messing with. They put like this black goop stuff to keep it there, and it's the most obnoxious stuff ever. So we just cut the wire and we shrink wrapped, connected it back, and I can think electrical taped it back, and here's the other one. So I'm gonna hop in there, reconnect these two speakers. After some finagling, this is what it's Zen enclosures. I know it from the beginning. I thought boxes for some reason, but Zen enclosures. Fitment wise, getting it in here is a little tight, but once it's in here, it fits. We've got a little clearance up here, but you're not going to see that at all. I mean, I've got the camera all the way in the trunk, but I think that's going to look pretty good. You approve of the box?
I do approve of the box.
I came to my realization, I don't think we've fully explained our plan and our go-to. Or we explained our plan for mounting these two amps back here, but I didn't fully give you the full rundown of how we ended up fully mounting them and how they ended up looking. So we have two different amps. So this amp actually has all the power at the bottom, so we just put it all the way at the top and made sure we had access here. This one's actually to the right, so that one's easy. And once this panel goes up, we're gonna have plenty of room, and I'm also not worried about it being able to breathe. I think it's gonna get plenty of air. It's not gonna get too hot. It's kind of the bane of electronics resistance is getting too hot, not being able to breathe. So we're not gonna run into that problem here. I'm fully confident in that. And just gonna show you the backside again. Can't see anything, can't see wires, and that's the plan. Is just keep this clean and keep all the wires in between that plastic panel and the actual subwoofer itself, so it's all clean. So I just wanted to wrap that up and show you guys what we actually ended up doing there. All right, so wrapping up what we're doing today, or what we wanted to get done today. As you can see, everything is pretty much set up in the rear seat and ready for the rear seat delete to go in. Now, we're mostly just test fitting everything, and I do want to walk around the other side to show you what it recommends us do, or what the instructions for this tell us to do. So the first step is there's two, they were mounting points for the rear seats. So these two bolts, you just need to trim them down on, cut them off so that rear seat can sit flat. The next thing they want you to do and to pay attention to is, if you notice, there's two holes here that have threads in them. So they recommend you measure those. These were 23 inches apart. So now we know what holes to use in here to cut the carpet and cut the carpet and bolt through those. And that should be the last two processes. After we get done test fitting and cutting the carpet here, it should be ready to go all in, and we'll see how it fits and how everything line up. And if we're not happy, we'll pull it back out and try again. Alright, so this video has kind of been a bunch of miscellaneous stuff that we needed to wrap up to get some of the stuff we needed to get in done. But it kind of worked together because we got the rear seat delete, we got the new box. Well, we did not get the new subs today, unfortunately. New subs are coming. They're Alpines. I did talk about it a little bit. But we pretty much did all the cleanup stuff we needed to get the rear seat and the trunk exactly how we want it, which is awesome. Again, I know you guys have seen this enough, but I'm super stoked about it. Another look at the Zen enclosures 212 box for this car.
Good morning, YouTube. We are, I should say we, Josh is probably sitting in his pajamas playing on the computer. Not sure where he is. Resting up for the Super Bowl tonight, I'm sure. Anyhow, I am back in the garage, back on the Mustang. Yesterday it was 70 degrees and sunny. We were in short sleeves. Today it is hovering around, I don't know, the upper 30s. And it's cold, and it's rainy, and it's just nasty. So I'm back to working in the dark. But late last night, new subs showed up. Hallelujah. We were hoping they would get here early enough yesterday that we could work on it, but it ended up being after dark, which is okay. It just meant that I got to drink more beer. So today I am going to put the subs into the box. I want to walk through a few of the nuances. I don't know if that's the right word. A few of the things that you have to pay attention to first when you're putting subs into a box. Let me start off by saying Josh mentioned, I guess I can talk to the camera every once in a while too. Josh mentioned yesterday about matching, figure out where that light is. Josh mentioned yesterday about matching the subs to the amps. Not only do you have to pay attention to what the wattage is that your amplifier is putting out and make sure that your subs can handle the wattage, but you need to make sure that you are showing the amp the right amount of impedance or ohms for the amp to work properly. Subs typically come in 1 ohms, 2 ohms, 4 ohms. I do think that they continue to go up, but most of us buy either a 2 ohm sub or a 4 ohm sub. But math gets a little bit screwy when you're putting more than one sub in a system. And then you can actually alter the amount of impedance that the amp is seeing by how you wire up the subs. If you run them in series, in other words, you run the wiring from one sub to the next sub and then back again, so you follow the positive polarity off of the amp, you run it to the first sub, then you run it to the second sub, and then back to the negative on the amp, you're actually doubling the amount of resistance in the system. So if you have two 2 ohm subs and you put them in series, the amp is going to see 4 ohms of resistance. All right. If you run the subs in parallel, in other words, your positive and negative polarity coming off your amp, you run it out, then you split it and you send an individual signal to each side, you end up taking the amount of resistance, taking the amount of impedance and cutting it in half. So the sub that we have, which is an Alpine MRP 500, it operates well at 2 ohms. So the way that I'm going to get 2 subs to work at 2 ohms is I'm going to have 2 4 ohm subs and run them in parallel. The amp is going to see 2 ohms, and that's going to give me exactly what I need. These Alpine subs are also rated, their RMS rating is at 250 watts, which you can see here, right? Which is, my amp is 500 watts. Each of them has, an available 250 watts. That's where they like to run. That is their sweet spot. 750 watts peak, we're fine. We're not going to come anywhere close to that. So, yesterday, when we were talking about this enclosure, I wasn't sure that Josh explained 100% why we pulled the mock tray out of the car. With that mock tray, under the rear deck, under those rear speakers, we lose about 5 inches of height. Since we are running an independent amplifier for all the speakers in the car, and we're not using the factory amplifiers that came with that mock system, if we were to build an enclosure or buy an enclosure to fit under that tray, the largest subwoofer we could put in was a 10-inch subwoofer. There's just not enough height to put a 12-inch subwoofer in. Since the tray in that factory system is not useful to us at this point, we decided to go ahead and drop the tray, get rid of the tray. It's added weight anyhow. Irony is that we're talking about making this a fast car and dropping weight, the reason that we pulled out the rear seats. But yet we're adding a subwoofer and amplifiers and everything else. Yeah, I know, hypocritical. You know, it's just, we're doing this for fun. So if we were to leave it in, we could only run 10-inch subwoofers. We wanted to run 12-inch subwoofers, so we took the tray out, saved a few pounds in doing so, created some more work for us, which is kind of hilarious because we're good at doing that. But today I'm going to get the box in position, get the speakers mounted, and go from there. One of the things that you do have to pay attention to, and this is just a wiring tip 101, is speakers run off of polarity. So there is a positive and a negative. You need to make sure throughout the entire system that your polarity is correct. Wiring doesn't care what your polarity is, but if you hook up your wire to your negative on your amplifier and then to the positive terminal on one subwoofer, and then run that wire to the second subwoofer and hook it to the negative terminal on this subwoofer, and then run it back to the negative on the amp, what you're doing is you're going to send the subwoofers out of sync. One is actually going to pull when the other one is pushing. You know, one's actually going to be moving one direction versus the other. So we have to make sure that we just keep everything equal. If I take the wiring that has the red stripe on the speaker wire, because the other side does not, oops, I need to fix that. If I take this red wire and I hook it up to my positive terminal on the box, I just need to make sure that the wire with the red stripe hooks up to the positive terminal on the subwoofer. And then as I move to the second subwoofer, same thing. Wire with the red stripe hooks up to this positive terminal, hooks up to the positive terminal that is on the box. The positive terminal on the box needs to be wired to the positive terminal on the amplifier. Just make sure that you're doing everything correctly. As soon as you turn it on, you'll know that you have a problem. It's going to sound like crap, and it's not going to perform the way you want to. That is just something you can do to check your own work and make sure that you do not have an issue. So, besides fixing a loose connection here, I'm going to tighten those up. What I've done is taken a length of speaker wire, connecting them to both the positive and the negative terminals on here. I have the red stripe to the positive. I don't know if that is industry correct. It is just what I'm doing to make sure that I follow it correctly. I'll show you in a second. The subwoofers have just a push-pull type of pinch connection on the back of them. So I've stripped off about a ½ inch of wire in order to make a clean connection there. Do not have to connect my two subs together because I do have two individual connections on either side. That is going to allow me to easily pull my wiring around the front where the amp is, tie into it together so I can have a common section that goes to the amp, and therefore they will be in parallel. So first thing I'm going to do is unbox the second subwoofer, go ahead and get everything ready to hook up the wiring within the box. Then I'm going to, once I get this set into the box, then I'm going to line everything up. I will tell you one thing that I'm a little bit disappointed with Alpine is I'm a peculiar person when it comes to getting everything lined up. And if you notice the word Alpine at the top of the sub and the word bass in the center of the sub on the cone are not parallel to each other. They're off ever so slightly. It's going to be in the trunk. No one else will ever really notice it. But because I'm trying to get everything lined up correctly so I can screw it into the box, I know it's there. That's going to be a problem. So I will kick the camera back on after I get everything hooked up, and we'll get these screwed in, and I'll show you what it looks like. Thanks. One day, I'm going to upgrade the lights in the garage here, but who knows. So, speakers are in. I think it looks pretty darn good. I've got the Alpines leveled across the top, the word Alpine. Still not really happy with the way they put the BASS on the cone. But again, I'm probably just going to be one of those that has to deal with it. That was a pain in the butt because I'm trying to be too particular, and I'm not too sure I'd ever be happy. But anyhow, they are in. We are good to go. What I did do off camera was I went ahead and ran my wiring from each side where the connections are for each subwoofer. So I've got that wiring run, and it's around the other side where the amps are. So my next step is to go ahead and start putting all the wiring together. So most of that I'm going to do off camera, but then I'll show you a finished product when I'm done. Welcome back, YouTube. Stereo is in. That took way longer than I ever thought it would, and I have a newfound respect for anybody that installs audio equipment for a living. This is not professionally done. This is Bob done, but it's clean, it functions, it's safe, it's grounded well, it's got the right size wiring for the most part. When I put the battery in the trunk, I'm going to fix a few things. But for the most part, it's the wiring is up to specs. The way it is grounded is up to specs. I have got the ohm meter out, made sure everything is working. The subs are wired in parallel, so they're pushing about 250 watts to each sub. It is working well. I'll let Josh do a demonstration of it because I listen to country music, old country music. Two big subwoofers is not exactly what is needed to play my style of music, but Josh loves his bass, so he can show you what it sounds like in a future video, or when he comes back over he can do a wrap-up of everything that we've done. But anyhow, the wiring is in, the amps are in. There is no longer a rat's nest of wires back in the footwells, wheel wells, seat wells, whatever the heck you want to call that. It's cleaned up, it's vacuumed, and the final picture, if I can get out of the sunshine, or maybe I should block the sun, I don't know. Anyhow, sun's right behind me. So they look good. It is secured. I used some Velcro on the carpet with some high-end adhesive. So the box is holding itself down via weight, but yet because it's Velcro, I can pull it right back out. So I am very happy with this. A little bit more effort than what I thought I was going to have to put into it. But now it's time to put the rear seat delete kit in. All right, I wanted to do just a quick update as I'm putting the rear seat delete material in. It's simply really, thick. It's ABS plastic. It's black. It's got a black carpet on it. 3 pieces. It feels a little cheesy, but then again, the idea is to get rid of your back seat and save a ton of weight. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. Very simple to put in and out. The rear pieces that cover the seat well, they simply, if I can do this one-handed, simply just go and pick up some Velcro along the back, and they sit in place. The other side will, fit in the same way. The back here, I'm trying to keep that glare from the sun and the light. The back just has 2 bolts that you pick up that are mounting holes for the seat that you take out. So that was really simple. They come pre-drilled. Two different options depending on the year model. You just figure out which year you want. It's just a simple measurement and poke a hole through, but the pre-drilling is already there. So let me get that other side in place and we'll walk around and I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Maybe I just should have been on this side to begin with. Goes together, seconds to get it apart. 2 bolts along the back if you ever want to take it out, or if I need to get to the amps. 10mm heads. I probably, underneath here, will run some maybe angle aluminum or something in order to stiffen it up a little bit. Well, it's going to see, but because it is such a weight-saving device, it is super flexible. So if you set anything back here, backpack or whatever, it's going to flex quite a bit. So I'll probably just stiffen that up with something light so I'm not really losing anything. But rear seat delete is in. It was more than we expected, but we created work for ourselves. We took the side panels off. We took the sail panels over the rear windows off. We removed all of the seat belts out of the vehicle. You can see the opening in that sail panel for the driver's side rear window. All the seat belt material, or excuse me, buckles and everything below the seat level here are gone. Useless items when you don't have a back seat. So that is the rear seat delete. Next week, we're probably going to do the battery relocation, which means I'll take this back out again because I'm going to lose quite a bit of wiring where I have the amps wired to the front of the car to the battery. That'll be nice and short, and I'm going to replace it probably with a 2-gauge feeder wire to the power distribution block, and then put a fuse, inline fuse on the 2-gauge wire. So more to come with that. All right, till next time.